My definition is sales is helping others see and achieve what they did not think was possible. See, customers will pay anything if they see enough value. In fact, my view of sales was that you were a bowling pin, and it was my job just to knock you down, throw the ball down, knock over the bowling pins, take your money and run. That was my objective. And that's manipulation. That is manipulation. The only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale. Stop and think about that. The only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale, because what you're doing is you're helping the customer so much that they either come back for more or they recommend you to somebody else or something. I have a line that says, in the absence of trust, low price is everything. Think about that. In the absence of trust, low price is everything.
Most salespeople are losing deals they should be winning, and they don't even know why. My guest has spent over 20 years fixing that. He's trained sales teams in 30 countries, written 4 best-selling books, and been inducted into the Sales Hall of Fame. His name is Mark Hunter, and with the last name like that, it's going to be all about sales. Welcome, Mark. How are you today?
I'm doing great. You know what? Sales is the lifeblood of everyone, whether or not you have sales in your title or not, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. Right. A couple of things on sales. It is the lifeblood of businesses. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business, which is the first point. The second point that I think is really interesting is sales is part of different aspects of your life. You persuade people in your family, in your friend group. It's a bedrock of everything that we do.
It's so true. Sales is serving people. Sales is, in fact, I'll share with you my definition of sales. In fact, it's also my definition of leadership. Because if you show me a good salesperson, they're a good leader. Show me a good leader, they're a good salesperson. My definition is sales is helping others see and achieve what they did not think was possible. Stop and think about that. You put that into context and you go, hey, this is pretty cool what I get to do every day. Yeah, this is pretty special. Yeah.
And you've been doing it for a long time, which is fantastic. And we're going to delve into it. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation because, as I said, I believe that sales is something that affects everybody, even if they don't like it. But the first question I wanted to ask you is, most people think they're losing on price. Why do people think this? And what is actually the reality?
Well, people always think it's price because they want to have something to blame. They want to have some reason as to why they can't sell. Well, the reason it may be price is only because you haven't created enough value. See, customers will pay anything if they see enough value. It's all you as a salesperson, I as a salesperson have to create enough value for the customer to warrant the investment. I hate the word price. I like the word investment because think about it. I'm asking the customer to invest in this product or this service because it's going to help them see or achieve what they didn't think was possible. That's what my objective is. But I've got to understand your needs well enough, your pain, your problems, that I can create a value solution where you say, yeah, this makes sense. This is going to help me solve my problem.
So it's value adding. You've got to switch the mindset and sell the value that you're going to add. Not like I do a lot of sales and I still always kind of go back to features and services that we do. And I've been reworking this over the last couple of years and really trying to focus more on this is actually solving your problem. This is how we add value and why we add value. And when you do that, people often go, oh, yeah, okay. How do we do this?
That is so cool. I got a great example sharing about this whole value, because again, value, it's not what we think it is. It's what the customer thinks it is. It's so easy for us to think about the product, the features and so forth of what we offer, what we have. But it's not what we offer. It's what the customer wants. It's what the customer need is. Example, I walk into a pub and I order a pint, and this is just an unbelievable unbelievable. This is the best pint I've ever had. And I'm trying to convince my friend, this is the pint you gotta have. And I'm extolling on them all of the features of the pint. And I says, no, because my friend's a teetotaler. See, it doesn't matter what I think it is. It's what the customer's looking for. And this is where salespeople fall apart. We get so excited about what it is we have to sell. We forget it's what the customer's looking for. Spend time initially just finding out, what is the customer looking for? What are their pains? What are their problems? Then you'll see.
So question it. What type? Because obviously the evolution of sales over the last sort of 5-10 years is now more question based than it ever was. It was 5-10 years ago, it was just a hard sell. You were just battering someone until they accepted. What types of questions should my audience be thinking about to be asking, which are then going to give you the clear indicators that this is actually, they see value in what you're selling?
Yeah. First of all, I want to find out, what are the key objectives you're trying to accomplish in your job, in your role? What are the key initiatives? What are the big challenges that you're facing? I want to find out what's challenging them. Then I want to find out, what happens if you don't solve that? What happens if you don't get these taken care of? What else have you tried? What are some other options that you've taken a look at? When I begin to get those questions on the table, it is amazing at what happens. I love asking people after I've had a couple conversations with them, getting to know them a little bit. I say, by the way, what are your KPIs? What are your key performance indicators that you're charged with? You think about that. Not too many salespeople ask a question like that. But it's amazing. I asked this of a senior level executive the other day, who I've gotten to know, really trying to help. And wow, he shared with me exactly what his KPIs were. Perfect. That's great. Now I know exactly how I can help him and his company. Perfect. That's what I'm looking for.
So what's your view on that sales is manipulation? Because a lot of people feel that even now we're inundated with information and everything, but why do people still feel that it's manipulation that sales is really based on?
Well, yeah, it is. That is a hard perception to get rid of. I've got a daughter who was looking to buy a car, and I was afraid that the salesperson at the car lot was going to manipulate her, because it's just my perception. And so I'm fearful of that. There's a fear of that, because if you are looking at sales, not as serving, but as just trying to take their money. Example, when I first got into sales, I did not like sales. In fact, my view of sales was that you were a bowling pin, and it was my job just to knock you down, throw the ball down, knock over the bowling pins, take your money and run. That was my objective. And that's manipulation. That is manipulation. Today, I truly believe that sales is about helping you, because my belief is this, and this is what I want every salesperson watching this, listening to this, take this to heart. The only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale. Stop and think about that. The only good sale is the one that leads to the next sale, because what you're doing is you're helping the customer so much that they either come back for more, or they recommend you to somebody else or something. But you haven't closed a sale, but you've opened a relationship. That's pretty cool. And if I can go into every sale with that approach, with that attitude, later today, I'll be meeting with a prospect. And this is the approach I'm taking. I'm going to be sitting down with this prospect, and I'm going to be talking to them. I want to find out from them what's going on in their company, how they do it. I'm just listening. Then I'm going to determine as to whether or not I can help them. Now, I may get into some conversations that I can't help them. And I have to be honest. I'm upfront. Hey, you know what? I don't think I'm the right fit for you, but I know somebody who can. And I love referring somebody like that to somebody else, because you know what I've done? I've now created 2 raving fans. The person I refer them to now loves me, because, wow, I'm giving them some business. And two, the customer who I was talking to is now even more satisfied and trusts me even more because I didn't try to push something on them, but I gave them to somebody else. And long term, I build my business that way. Long term, I create more clients. I create more business. That's huge. That's what sales. So if I want to manipulate, I'm always going to be looking for my next fool. I'm always going to be looking for my next fool. But if I'm truly serving, a greater portion of my business every year is going to come to me by way of referrals because people are talking to me. People are talking to me. If that doesn't excite you, if that doesn't make you, that get out of sales, leave the industry.
I want to tell you about something I did recently that every founder should do. I ran my own business through CEO Friend, the AI strategy platform, and asked it to analyze my marketing and sales foundations. What came back was really interesting. It told me my value proposition was leading with activity rather than outcome, that I was describing what we do, not what our clients get. It gave me a recommended value proposition reframe, and I love the part that told me what to stop, fix, and invest more energy in. My biggest blocker was how I was positioning myself in my business. All of it accurate, none of it comfortable. But that's what a good advisor does. CEO Friend gives an AI-powered advisor across finance, strategy, marketing, and growth. It's personalized to your business, built on your own data, executive level thinking, available on demand without the cost of a full advisory board. Your first month is free if you head to ceofriend.ai/offer and use my own personalized code BGT10. Links in the show notes. It's interesting, relationships. What I've learned moving from corporate into my own business, which I have to sell and I have to be involved in it. It's when you understand that the relationships in business are it's always you're developing those relationships, and something like what I did last year was get some really great referral partners, and they've been able to, and we've been exchanging people. We're always meeting people and been able to do that. So, but going into a sales conversation and actually thinking, I want to connect, I want to create a relationship. As you say, you might be able to pass them to someone else. You might be able to give them a suggestion. Like sometimes people come to me and they look, I'm not ready at the moment, but I'm actually looking for this. And one of the things that we've done is we've built more services when people are asking for things. I need help with this. Well, that's just opened the floodgate. You get two people asking for that, and then suddenly you built another service on top of what you're doing. But that all comes from caring about the person that you're talking to. What do you think about that?
I totally agree. Totally agree. This is why having a community is so important. This is why having a network is so important. But you know what's interesting? We don't use a network, we nurture network. I want to help other people in my network. I want to help other people. You and I were connected because of somebody else, right?
Yep.
And see, so again, this is everything in life is connections. Everything in life. I always say my goal with every person I talk to, you included right here, and hopefully some of our audience members will reach out, is to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to be able to talk with you again. I think about that. If I can do that, that's pretty cool.
That's a good day, isn't it?
That's a great day. But see, go back to the salesperson who tries to manipulate. Oh, they're just looking for the next person to try to get their money. Oh, that's depressing. That's depressing. I'll take my style any day. Any day.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk a little bit about your journey. So you spent 18 years in Fortune 500 companies before going out on your own. What made you leave?
Yeah, what made me leave corporate was I was not getting along. I was director of sales for a major company, leading a sales team, but I wasn't getting along with the CEO and the president of the company. And I knew how that was going to end. Not well for me. And it was stress. I was stressed. It was just, there were some business philosophies that were just not lining up. I was under a lot of stress. And my fear was, is this going to be my life where I'm locked in, where I'm just locked into this corporate environment? And I said, I got to get out. And I got out, and I've been loving it ever since. Because, you know, when you're free of wow, I'm convincing everybody to leave their company. It's kind of funny, but I've gotten to meet so many people, travel so many countries around the world, participate in so many different things, way outside the industry I was in initially. I mean, the people I get to come in contact with on a daily basis, it's just to me, that's fun. See, don't get into sales unless you like people. By the way, you know what's interesting? I'm in sales because I have a passion to help people. I have a passion to help others. It's not about the product. I get asked by a lot of companies to come in and help them sell their product. And they go, well, you don't know our product. I said, I don't need to know. I need to know the product, but I need to know you. I need to know your customers. It's people. It's people talking to people. That's how we create success.
The thing is, though, you need to believe in your product that you're selling.
Yes and no. Yes, you need to believe in your product to deliver an outcome. Believe in your product to deliver an outcome. This is what's key, because remember, nobody buys anything just to buy it. They want to buy it because they want to achieve. I don't care if this is B2B or B2C. I don't care what type of stuff. You know, I go and buy some new tires for my car. I'm looking for an outcome because I want to be able to not have to worry about having a flat tire, having a blowout. I want to be able to get into my car and know it's going to take me to my next. See, I'm not buying tires. I'm buying peace of mind. Everything that we do is because there's an outcome involved. So yes, I need to believe in my product. The tire salesperson needs to believe that their tires are good, very good. They don't have to believe that they're the best, because the best may have a higher price. And maybe I come in and say, I don't want to pay top dollar. I don't want to pay unbelievable sum of euros or pounds for tires, because the car just isn't worth it. I want to pay less. And what's the tire that matches up? See, so again, it's believing in your product to achieve the level of outcome that your customer is desiring to have. That's what you have to believe in.
Yeah, I would agree that. So another thing that, so when I went to your website and I was looking you up, how did the term the sales hunter come about?
Really a lot of technical research. It was incredible because with the last name of Hunter, you got to run with it, right? Years ago, I'm sitting with a person, and he says, you got to put the name Hunter into your business. So we literally went out on the internet and typed in Sales Hunter. Oh, it was taken. The domain name was taken. So we just put a "the" in front of it. Oh, it was available. So we bought the domain name. That was it. That's how we came up with the Sales Hunter.
Has it been a blessing or a curse for you?
Oh, incredible blessing. I mean, incredible blessing. It's been, I thank, and Hunter's my real last name. I did not change. I have people ask me, what was your name before you changed it? I owe my dad. This is what's cool. You go into a restaurant and you got to give them your name. And I always say Hunter, party of two. And it's always cool because they, table for Hunter. It's just a cool name. It's just a cool name. So it's good.
And you've done books. You've done 4 books. You've spoken at universities, podcasts, speaking globally. All these things have obviously come to you because of the quality of what you do. But was that always part of the plan, or did it just sort of, were you invited to one and there've been knock-on effects from there?
You just start doing it. You just start, like, in fact, I was just talking to an individual who's looking to get into this business. He said, "How did you do it?" I said, I just began talking to people, putting things out on social media, sharing content. LinkedIn was kind of the go-to back then. It still is today. And just began sharing. And then you get an invite. Hey, would you come and talk at this? Would you do this? And fortunately, when I was in corporate America, I should say corporate Euro, or corporate UK, I was had a lot of conferences I was attending, so I knew a lot of people. And you just begin reaching out, and it just, one creates another, creates another, creates another. And the value, the quality of my work is seen by if somebody else hires me. I mean, I guess my work must be pretty good because people keep hiring me.
Keep on asking you to do things and getting involved. So it obviously is serving you well.
Yeah.
Before we go into the next question, if you're enjoying this episode, then please do consider just taking 30 seconds of your time and hitting 5 stars on Spotify or Apple. Only takes a few seconds to do, and it genuinely does help the show and we can reach more people. Just a little interlude there, Mark. So what do you think that's broken in the sales process for most people?
Well, what is broken is expectations. Well, there's 3 things that are broken. One is expectations. We have expectations that we're going to be successful tomorrow. 2, we are not willing to be committed and disciplined to get it done. And 3, we are not willing to truly invest in other people. And those are the 3 things. We fix those 3 things, and it's amazing how successful we. I'll just add a little color to each one of those. The first one, expectations. It's going to take time. It takes time. You have to be willing to play the long game in this business. You can't just pick somebody up. You can't just call, "Hey, Mark Hayward, you want to buy from me?" "Oh, sure, thank you." Yeah, it's just not going to happen. So you have to have expectations of developing relationships. 2, commitment and discipline. And every day you've got, this is like going to the gym. If you want to get in shape, if you want to run a marathon, you don't just show up at the starting line and run a marathon. You've got to train for it, starting weeks, months in advance. And the third thing is really caring about people. You really have to be caring about people and helping people. But if we could just focus in on those 3 things and do those 3 things, success happens. It does come. Not overnight. Jeffrey Bezos created Amazon. He said, we were a 29,000 day overnight success or something like that. I don't know.
I love those comments. I was an overnight success. It only took me 15 years.
Yes.
Love that comment. Love that comment. I always think that is so valuable for people to understand that. Yeah, Jeff Bezos was in his in his garage selling books, and look where he is now. But I think you have a really good point about the discipline and your expectations and being able to care about people, because that's still not people's expectations. Like, you think like a 21-year-old coming out of college, university, and they go, "I want to make loads of money, I'm going to go in sales." Now, those people, what would you like to say to them? If we've got a few listening here, what would you like to say to the highly motivated people that are young that just think sales is going to bring money?
You better find mentors around who can help you. Don't try to do it alone. Sales is not a solo activity. It's a team sport. You got to surround yourself with people. So if you're highly motivated, great. 2, prepare yourself for a long journey. It's going to take time. Success in sales is a lot like investing money. You can invest money. I don't care what you invest in, whether it be stocks, whether it be property, whether you put it in the bank, whatever. It compounds interest. And same thing with learning sales. It compounds interest. Every day I learn something new. I've been in this game for decades, but every day I learn something new. And that's cool. To me, that's fun. That's absolutely a kick.
Yeah. And I think people think that it just like certain people have like a gift of a gab. They have a way of being able to talk to people, but you're almost saying there is a scientific method to how to improve your sales communication. Is that right?
Yeah, there is. It starts with listening. I tell you what, some of the best salespeople I've ever met are introverts. Because they just want to listen. I know too many salespeople who talk way too much. Shut up. That's the reason you're not closing the sale. Shut your mouth. I had breakfast the other day with a gentleman who is struggling in sales, and he kept talking the whole time we were having breakfast. It's like, would you shut up? No wonder you can't close a sale. You see, success in sales is not about the information we share. It's about the questions we ask. Think about that for a moment. It's not the information we share, because if people want information, they can go get that on the internet. The internet's pretty good tool. And add to that AI, get you a lot of stuff. Yeah. Success in sales is about the questions we ask. And it's not just the questions, but it's the follow-up questions we ask. Because again, I want to be able to get you into a conversation. Mark, if I was selling to you, I'd ask you a question and you share with me something. I want to ask you a question on what you just shared with me. This little technique changes things dramatically. Here's why. If I ask you a question and you answer, and I ask you a question on what you just shared with me, you suddenly go, wait a minute, this salesperson actually listened. This salesperson is actually listening to what I'm saying. Wow. And then this salesperson, and then he says, wait a minute, they actually care about what I'm saying. They value me. What does it do? It creates a level of trust. You know what's funny? Back at the beginning, you said about price, way back at the beginning of the podcast. I have a line that says, in the absence of trust, low price is everything. Think about that. In the absence of trust, low price is everything. Because you may not trust something, but if it's so cheap or free, well, what the heck? Fine. But if it's expensive, you want to trust it. Say, there's a direct relationship between trust and the price you get. Increase trust, you increase price.
And so a lot of my listeners and viewers are business owners. And so for them, their requirement is that they need to grow their business. And you're talking about a concept of building trust with people to be able to grow your business. Is there any way that, like, there's going to be people here that are selling and maybe coming out with nothing? They're coming out with, or not a lot. How do you build that trust and be able to make that connection with someone when that might not necessarily be your natural affinity? Maybe like, but you've got to sell to pay the bills, to pay your employees, to pay your lifestyle. What is the real integral part when it comes to building trust with people so quickly? Because this is the thing, like, you have a friendship, it takes you years to build up a strong friendship. But when you're trying to build a relationship with someone, you've got 30 minutes. What are the techniques and styles that you use that are able to gain that trust quickly and effectively?
Yeah, it's going to start before I even have the conversation. First of all, I want to make sure that this is a person who I know I can help. Is this person in an industry, type of job, whatever, that I know I can help? So in other words, I'm not going to just go down the street corner and start talking to people. I want to talk to people who are in my sphere of who I can help. Then I'm going to do a little bit of research. I don't have to do a lot, depending on the sales cycle. In other words, if you have a short sales cycle, you're only going to spend a minute or two. If you have a long sales cycle, you may spend an hour or two doing research. Who is this person, company, et cetera, et cetera. But when I first have this initial conversation, I want to share with them a piece of information or ask them a question relative to their industry, their company, something that is of interest to them. And this is what's absolutely key. It's not about me. Hi, I'm Mark Hunter, and I've got great widgets, and I want to sell you 1,000 right now. Want to buy? Want to buy? No, that's not going to get you anywhere. I have to show an interest in them, and in order to show an interest in them, I have to engage them on something of interest to them. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit there and share a comment or a piece of information, ask them a question, something relative to something that is going to be of value to them. I'm going to let them respond, and then I'm going to ask them a follow-up question on it. I'm going to run with this. I'm going to run with this for a bit, because I just have to allow you to begin to see that I may be able to help you. I may be able to help. I mean, then I could begin saying, hey, what are the key things you're working on? A line I love to use is, it's interesting, but we've had a chance to work with a lot of other companies in your industry, helping them solve X. I was just talking to somebody, different company, similar industry, but they were sharing with me something. I never share proprietary information, never share confidential information, but you want them to begin to see that, wait a minute, you're not a salesperson, but you're a peer. You know their business. That gets you through so many doors. It's unbelievable.
And the other thing that just came up to me while I was talking to you was, is volume of leads or quality of leads the most important thing for selling?
Quality, any day. I will give me 10 quality leads over 100 names any day. Because I can be busy. You can give me a list of 100 names and I'll try to dial, email, whatever. I'm busy, but am I productive? Give me 10 quality ones. Because my whole objective is I want to be able to qualify you fast. Because my goal is to spend more time with fewer prospects. The largest engagements I've ever signed in my company have been ones that have taken a long time, because I've been able to just understand them so well, so good, so much, and boom, we get an unbelievable contract from them. Don't rush the discovery phase to try to get a price on the table, because it's the discovery phase where you find out the value that the customer is looking for. What's the problem? What's the problem the customer has? You don't know. You don't know until you ask them and until they share with you.
Yeah, totally agree. And the other thing that came to my mind was, and this is probably a slightly bigger companies that we're dealing with, and I know you've got experience in that. Why do sales teams, in some cases, not have direct relationships with the marketing teams? Why does it happen time after time after time?
That's a big mistake. It's a big mistake, because again, marketing has got their own set of objectives. Marketing has their own objectives, and sales has their own set of objectives. And too many times they are in conflict with one another. This is why I say sales and marketing have got to be united. The job of marketing is twofold. One, to create brand awareness. Okay, it's to create brand awareness. And two, to identify markets. And identifying markets may include names. Sales then is the one that then takes the brand equity, because now they're able to make phone calls and emails. Oh, I've heard of you. I know you guys. I attended that webinar. I was at that trade show, whatever. And they can then begin to take those names and then say, okay, who in this list is really worthwhile? Really worthwhile. That's where I'm going to focus. So the two have to work together. When marketing attempts to qualify the prospect, qualify the lead, big mistake. Because a marketing qualified lead is never going to be the same as a sales qualified lead. And here's the big reason. Sales will always blame marketing when they don't make their quarterly numbers. It just always happens. Sales will always blame marketing. Well, you didn't give me the right names. You didn't give me the right, hey, this is your job. Don't argue with me. And marketing will always say, well, we gave sales, 5,000, qualified leads. No, you gave me 5,000 names. You didn't give me 5,000 leads. But again, it's because they have two separate objectives. They've got to be aligned. One of the things that I love doing, sales leaders, have your marketing people go to your marketing peer, go to your counterpart in marketing and say, hey, I want you to have each one of your marketing people spend 2 or 3 hours with one of my salespeople, either on the phone making calls, on a Zoom call, Teams call, or physically out making calls. And the same thing. I want salespeople to sit there. You can't do this with all of them, but salespeople to sit in on a marketing planning meeting, just to sit in on a marketing planning meeting. Wow, it's amazing. Because so many times they speak different languages.
But they blame each other. Often you described it yourself. Often there's a blame game that comes in on this. It's a concept which seems so logical for me. And you get the offices and sales is on that side and marketing's on that side, and you've got everyone in between, and they're just not communicating. They're not bringing each other's points of view into the conversation that can then, because your marketing team can really support your sales team to go and sell as well. But you are right. You say they have different objectives. And I think that's sometimes what the blocker is, and what the challenge is for companies, is because they don't automatically see the connection between the two.
Yeah, I want to add. I want marketing to own the website. I want marketing to own what's out there on the internet, but I want sales input. This is so key. I don't want sales driving the website. No, let marketing drive that. But I want sales input. What should this lead form look like? What should this next step look like? What should some of this, because again, marketing can get very caught up in product and features. Very caught up. And remember, it's about the outcomes we create. It's the outcomes we create. That's what we're looking for.
And the other thing that sprung to mind was about this always be closing. What's your thoughts on that cliche?
Well, okay. I mean, to a certain degree, there's some truth in always be closing. I always want to close out every conversation. I want to close out. But my objective is to gain the next step. I want to earn the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to be able to come back and talk with you again. So I just want to keep this process going. When we get into this always be closing, it's like we're racing to close the deal, I don't want to close the deal. I want to open a relationship. And I'm willing to play the long game, because I'm going to close this deal. Ooh, I just said the word. I want to get this deal. I want to be able to help this customer invest in this, because it's going to create the next opportunity. Every sale, in fact, it's funny. I'm doing a program this next week with a company, and one of the things that we are stressing is for salespeople to never close a sale. I use that word again. I hate closing a sale. Never secure a sale without knowing what's the next sale. What's going to be the next sale? Is it going to be another product, another service? Is there a referral? Is there a connection? But always be thinking as to what is next. What comes next?
And that next step is always massively important. Can we just stop for a minute? If you've enjoyed this, you've got this far through the episode, hopefully you're enjoying it. Please do consider joining our community on Patreon for behind the scenes and exclusive content. All you need to go is to patreon.com/businessgrowthtalks. Cold calling is dead. You wrote the book on prospecting. Am I right or am I wrong?
Yeah, cold calling's dead because, again, there's no reason to cold call. There's absolutely zero reason. Zero reason. What you can do today is you can call a very defined list. It's informed calling. You know, I'm not going to just take a list of 100 names, but I've got 10 people that I've taken a look at. Yeah, you know what? They're with this company. They're with this company. I've seen them. Yeah. That's who. So you're right. I don't know those people, but it's informed calling because I know who they are and I know that I can help them. I'm just not walking into somebody saying it just doesn't pay. There is no way that you can make that be cost effective for any salesperson or any company, period.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. And do you think that good products can, because most of our founders that are listening to this are thinking, I've got a great product, I know it can add value, I don't have a sales team, I'm going to have to do this call, and I'm just going to prove to the person listening that I have a great product. Why is that going wrong?
Well, it's going wrong because it's what I call founder's dilemma. Founders, business owners, small companies, you don't have a sales team. You become desperate and you begin to think that your solution is going to bring world peace. It's going to solve world hunger. It's going to take care of. No. It's called founder's dilemma. You need somebody who has a neutral voice. I want you in on sales calls. I want you participating in sales calls because as a founder, as a small business owner, you can ask questions that other people can't, and you get conversations, you get meetings that other people can't just because of your title, because of your role. But don't think for a moment, because what you'll do is you'll try to push a square peg into a round hole. Just not going to go. And you need salespeople who can just listen. This is what we're going to have to adjust. This is what we're going to have to modify. This is especially early on in a company, because so many times early companies are creating solutions for problems that don't exist. I've got stock in multiple companies where companies have brought me in and they say, Mark, we really can't afford to pay you what you're worth, but we're going to pay you a little bit. We're going to give you stock. It's going to be worth millions. It's going to be worth millions. None of these have ever panned out because ultimately they have a solution for a problem that does not exist. Or they have a solution for a problem that, yeah, you're right, it's a problem, but it just doesn't. This is crazy. I got to share. One company I was brought into, and great. I mean, the founder was a wonderful guy. He had invented a machine that would take, this would be for restaurants, that would take a knife, a fork, and a spoon and wrap a napkin around it and put a band around it. It was an automatic machine. Think about this. Wow, this is unbelievable. Think of the labor you're going to save. And he couldn't sell it because ultimately, restaurants don't hire people specifically to do that task. That task is just picked up when people have a couple minutes. Is just do this. Say. So again, he had a solution for a problem that just didn't exist.
What would you say the difference for my audience between B2B selling and B2C selling is?
There's not as much as there used to be because both are being done online, right? I mean, it's amazing what B2B can buy online, what B2C. And it's a lot more similar because really both are very much emotional. Both are very much emotional decisions backed up by facts. If I'm B2C, I'm going out buying something. Emotionally, I got to have this. I've got to have this car. I got to have this car. And I'm trying to back it up with the facts. Well, this is what my mileage is going to be. This is what, My insurance is going to be, I'm trying to back up. Same thing in business. Business will say, oh, we base all of our decisions on facts. No, you don't. Because at the end of the day, there's that emotion. I don't like that company, or I like that salesperson. I don't like this. There's some preconceived notion. So surprisingly enough, B2B and B2C are becoming a lot more similar than ever before.
And emotion is obviously important. With larger companies, if you're dealing with large companies, some of the challenges are that there's multiple stakeholders.
With multiple emotions, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean,
so I suppose when you're looking at the sort of bigger companies, so I spent time in corporate as well, is the mentality is that you've got multiple stakeholders and therefore there'll be multiple sort of inputs into that decision. But you're saying now, in the way that the world is designed, B2B is less logical and it's more emotional. It's just more people's emotions that are involved.
Yeah, because both are doing research before they talk to a salesperson. I mean, I don't care what it is in B2C. You looked at Instagram, or you looked at TikTok, or you've gone out to websites. Business, same thing. They're looking at YouTube videos. They're reading. Again, the two are becoming far more similar than people ever realize.
How do you think you've evolved as a leader?
Oh, I'm far more compassionate now than I used to be, because I realize the impact, because emotions are also on the salesperson side. Also, I mean, again, my attitude, my mindset going into a sales call predetermines the results I get coming out of it. I never used to think that. But if I go into a sales call thinking that there is nothing here, there's nothing here, there's nothing going to be there. But if I go in thinking, you know what, something's going to come from this, somehow we just wind up creating something. Yeah. So, I mean, my whole evolution has changed also in terms of really spending more time with the customer to understand the customer. Just let them talk. Just let them talk. That's been the two big things. Yeah.
What would you say your risk appetite is now, and has it changed over the years?
My risk appetite is actually greater today than it ever was before, because, excuse me, I began to realize that you got to roll the dice enough times in order to get a good deal to come up. In the early days, my risk, oh, this is going to work. This is going to work. No, it doesn't. So then you go through it enough times, you realize, oh, you know what? So my risk appetite is stronger because I'm not placing as much faith, each day.
What's the biggest risk that you've taken that's actually worked out? I could ask you the other way, what hasn't worked out, but I'm interested, what's the biggest risk that actually was successful?
27 years ago, when I walked away from a very good paying corporate job to do this, that was probably the biggest risk, because I was married, kids, literally putting everything on the line, walked away from an unbelievable job. And that was without a doubt the biggest risk. So everything after that, it's easy. It's easy.
Look, we're coming to the end of the interview. I ask the same 6 questions to all of my guests. They're quick fire questions. They don't need a quick fire answer. Mm-hmm. And you can't answer the same answer to this question that you did before. What's the best decision that you made? Because I think it's clear that you think the best decision was leaving corporate, but give me another. What's another one of your really good decisions that you made?
Proposing to my wife. Now, here's why. Because she's my biggest fan. She's my biggest supporter. Sales. You need support in this. And if I had to do this alone, and my wife is not involved in the business, but she's been that sounding board. She's been that, hey, just relax, calm down. She's been my counselor, my psychologist, my hey, just relax. Hey, you know what? Why don't you try this? I mean, there's been any number of times when I've been stuck on something, and I'll mention to her, she said, oh, why don't you? And it's like, oh, wow, why didn't I think of that? Hello, So
she's your anchor, is she?
She is my anchor, and I love her dearly. Yeah, Yeah.
That's
And,
amazing.
and I hope she listens to this recording then as a result, right? Yeah.
So do I. I'll share I'll give you the link and you can share it with her and say 50 minutes in, this is what you need to listen to. Next question is, what's the best piece of advice you've been given?
Best piece of advice is the piece of advice I ignored for too long. Get mentors. Get mentors and listen to other people. Early on in my career, I was full of a lot of ego. I was full of myself. I thought I was good. I thought I could do it myself because I knew better than everybody else. Wrong. The best piece of advice I ignored. And I still remember it. A gentleman told me, he says, you gotta find people around you who you can talk to, make friends with, rely on, senior people in the industry who can help you. And I blew that. I should have paid attention.
How long did you try and do it on your own for?
Oh, probably the first 10 years, 10 years at least. Yeah. And even after I went into my own business doing this, I tried to do it myself for the first 5 years or so. It's like, stupid. Wait a minute. Didn't work out the first time. Dude, come on, get smart. I'm a slow learner.
Who's the person that's helped you most in your career?
Person who's helped me the most in my career. That's a great question. There have been several people who I have met along the way. Well, no, I'll tell you what, 2 people. One, I'm going to call out specifically. John Canavan. In fact, I write about him in my book, A Mind for Sales. He was a boss I had many, many years ago, and he just demonstrated leadership. He was calm, he was deliberate, and in front of customers, he was just awesome. I learned more from just watching him just relax. He was one that finally got me to the point of, hey, you need mentors. You need people around you. And it was his guidance that absolutely helped me tremendously because it gave me a sense of confidence that it's about people, not the product.
How much faster do you think you moved because of that relationship?
Oh, huge, which in turn connected me with other people. Because along the way, there have been probably 5 people who I've met. I don't know, maybe it's not 5, maybe it's 4, who have just absolutely changed, and not changed like 180 degrees, but improved my business. Because they in turn have connected me with other people. I've learned something from them, et cetera, et cetera. And, but I can trace it all back to John Canavan, getting my mindset right and just beginning to prepare because you never know the next person you meet who could wind up just opening up incredible doors. Real quick, I had dinner with an individual 8 or 9 years ago now. I'd known about him for years, very important person in the industry. He actually had known about me. We happened to be seated at the same table at a dinner we were invited to, and he has opened up so many doors for me. It's unbelievable. Just amazing. There was another person who I met and just happened to sit down at a dinner, again, right next to the person. We introduced each other. Incredible relationship, incredible amount of business we've exchanged. I traced all back to John Canavan.
Amazing. Right, a different type of question. Tell me about a regret that you have.
Regret that I have is that I wasn't assertive enough early on in terms of outbound selling. Again, I think because I thought I was so good, business would come to me. And I wasn't humbled enough to be just, I got to be reaching out. I got to be hustling. I've got to be hustling. And as a result, I was spending too much time getting distracted, building stuff and not selling myself. Early on, like I said, I've been doing this now for 26 years. The first 3 or 4 years, I was doing that too much.
So do you think, so what can we learn from that as, what I'm trying to get to is like, what can we take from that experience that you had?
Yeah.
Go on.
2 really important things. 1, be clear as to the outcome you can help other people with. because this was part of my problem. I wasn't clear what my outcome was. Be absolutely clear and get dialed in on reaching out to those people, finding those people, and then it just comes down to being consistent. It's so easy for us to get distracted. We get, shiny object. We get caught up in other things, and we got to stay absolutely lazy. The book I recommend to everybody, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's just doing little things every day, doing them well. It is amazing at the success you will have long term.
Amazing. Was there a time in your entrepreneurial journey in your business, was there a time you wanted to give up, and what made you pull through?
Oh man, many, many times. My wife was the one who said, stick with it. One more day. Yeah, many, many times, especially early on. There have been times when it's like, this just isn't working. I should just get a job. And my wife has just sat me down and says, just relax. One more day. And she's then look back on what you've been able to do. Look back on the success you've been able to have. And again, that cheerleader who helped pick me up. Absolutely. I mean,
amazing.
And anybody who doesn't have that feeling at one time or another is kidding themselves.
Yeah. Tell me something that most people don't know about you.
Something most people don't know. This is what's funny. I do a lot of speaking on stages around the world. I stuttered as a kid very badly. Yeah.
How did you solve it?
Just over time. I was a disc jockey in college, which was one way. You're listening to the Mindy 95 KQZ radio. But it just slowly but surely over time, confidence. I think what it was maybe as a kid, I didn't have confidence. I had a low self-esteem, and that's how it manifested itself. I don't know. But yeah, that's something very, very few people know, because they watched me take the stage today. Thousands of people in a room, thousands. And like, wow, how does that guy do that? And they realize that, wait a minute, this guy stuttered as a kid? You're kidding me. Yeah.
Well, thank you for your honesty. I really appreciate that. And something that isn't part of this, but it's something that was coming through earlier on. Your idea of content, your idea of producing on podcasts and speaking and things like that, why has it been such an important aspect for you to personally as well as professionally?
Well, it helps me grow. I grow. It's amazing. I have 2 podcasts, and every time I do a podcast episode, like with you today, I'm learning something. I'm learning things. Life is about learning, and that just helps me. And the more content I produce, the more I content. Like tonight, I've got to record a bunch of videos. And there are things I'm going to share that I picked up over the last week working with different clients. Everything just keeps, knowledge compounds. Your intellectual, regardless of what job you do, your intellectual property compounds and is worth more every ensuing year if you continue to add to it. That's key. You got to keep adding to it. That's what jazzes me every day. Yeah.
And my last question is, what does legacy mean to you?
Oh, legacy. Wow. So many things. Legacy is, it's interesting, but I look back, and we all look back, and there are people who influenced us. I made a comment about John Canavan. He very much influenced me. I've had other people in my life very much influence me. We all have to stop and take a step back and realize, who are you influencing today? Who is it that you're influencing today that 10, 15 years from now, we'll look back and say, Mark Hayward impacted my life tremendously. That's cool. I'm not saying that from an egotistical manner. I'm just saying that so legacy is, I want to have people, not from an arrogant standpoint, but I want people to be able to look back and say their time with Mark Hunter was beneficial. Now, I do want people to have an ego. I got to share this with you. I want people to have an ego, but it's not what you think. It's EGO, empowering greater outcomes. When you can empower greater outcomes in other people, that's really cool. That is
That's amazing.
absolutely neat.
Thank you so much for this conversation today, Mark. It's been absolutely fantastic. I've had such a great time. And thank you all to you for being part of this. If you've taken something from this conversation, the best thing that you can do is hit the subscribe button whenever you're listening or watching. It genuinely helps the show, so I do appreciate that. If you're on YouTube, hit the like button and drop a comment below telling me your biggest takeaway. And if you're on Spotify or Apple, just consider hitting a 5-star rating. And if you know anyone that would need to hear this, please do share it with them. It really does make a real difference to other people's lives, as Mark has spoken numerous times today. So thank you very much for your time and have a great day. And I'll see you in the next one.